In this video, we'll take a look at the importance of understanding cultural differences when in a serious relationship with a Filipina. Anyone who thinks they don't need to take the time to learn about these differences simply isn't interested in creating a successful, long-term relationship. To get you started on the journey of learning more about cultural differences, we'll look at the differences that can often get in the way of a good relationship. Things like dating and how a Filipina's view on dating may be somewhat different to yours. Family, money, and more importantly, what they call a debt of gratitude in the Philippines. We'll also look at kids, contraception, and more. In the short time we have here, it's simply not possible to inform you of all you'll need to know, and frankly, even if this video went for hours, you still wouldn't have a solid grasp on all the differences and how to overcome them. What we're doing here is creating a base for you to start to understand what the differences are, and then every day learn more via your own research and more importantly by listening and paying attention to what your Filipina is saying. Whilst we may think that some of the cultural differences I'm about to mention are silly, or we can't justify why a Filipina may do or believe in these things, we must keep an open mind and realise all of these things are so very important for a Filipina, and they make up the essence of who she is. So if you want to start to gain a better understanding around cultural differences you'll no doubt come across with your Filipina, then be sure to buckle up and stay with me here. Just quickly, if you want to increase your understanding around Filipino culture and why a Filipina may act a certain way or do certain things, then I have a private one-on-one consulting service available. My link is in the pinned comment below. Okay, it's awesome you guys are still here and looking to learn more, which really shows a good intent around your relationship and also for those thinking about entering a relationship with a Filipina. So full credit to you guys. The first thing we need to understand when we start a dating relationship with a Filipina is what dating means to you may not necessarily mean the same thing to a Filipina. Many Filipinas are still reasonably traditional women, and when they commit to a dating relationship, they automatically start thinking long-term with marriage, babies, and the works. For us foreign guys, dating can be really more of a casual situation where in our minds we can back out at any time. In a sense, we're experimenting with the woman to see if she's a fit or a miss. You can be sure the mindset between a foreign man and many Filipinas around dating are almost polar opposites. Once you ask her to be your girlfriend, even if you've never met in person, there's a good chance she'll now be planning the wedding and a life with you. Simply, many Filipinas take being in a dating relationship far more serious than many of us men. And so we need to understand this so we know where she's coming from when we think she may be rather serious. If you're a guy that doesn't want to enter a dating relationship so quickly, then I suggest remaining chatmates until you meet in person, and then if it's all good, upgrade to a dating relationship. The next thing we need to understand is just how important a Filipina's family is to her. Now, we may all love our families, but a Filipina may take this to a whole new level. Remember, many Filipinas have grown up where their family may have had some tough struggles in life. For many of these families, they relied heavily on one another for support and love to get through. So they formed an extremely close and tight bond, which for many will last their lifetime, even if eventually separated by oceans. Some men will say that you, as her husband, will never be able to compete with the family, and the Filipina will always take their side, and you'll always run a distant second. Well, in my view, these guys are taking this to an extreme, and it's not true. Yes, a Filipina will always love and care for her family, but she'll also see you as her family. And that's a family of her own that she's wanted all of her life. And now with you, she gets to create what she's always dreamt of. Add to this the love that she'll have for you and one will see that there's no competition between you and her family. Yes, for sure, at times her family may need some help, and if the Filipina can help, then naturally she'll want to, as most of us guys would do with loved family members if we could. And just an important tip here, guys, which I see some guys failing in, is to be sure never to easily dismiss or ridicule her family in any way, because one can be sure that will go right through the heart of your Filipina. The next thing to understand is a follow-on in a sense from the previous, and this is around money. For many foreign guys, they have a hard time understanding why the Filipina wants to give money to her parents and to help her siblings or cousins out with school fees. Culturally, in many ways, this does come back to understanding many Filipino families and how we spoke about their closeness. In a sense, they all feel part of one another, and if one has money, then that's a given that it should be shared. So just to understand that when you're dating a Filipina and you send her money, then most likely she'll share that money or at least part of it with her family. So don't be upset with her when you find out that she's doing this. For many Filipinas, they do love the feeling of giving back to their family, especially if they now have good fortune of a better life. But there's also an expectancy of the parents that their child will look after them financially as they grow older. Some guys think this only starts when a Filipina starts a relationship with a foreign guy, but I can assure you this isn't the case. Many Filipinas, after completing school, will then seek out employment either in the province or go to the cities where they'll send money home to their parents every month, and usually it's a good portion of their money. Filipinos have a phrase which I won't try and pronounce out of respect for the wonderful Filipino people, but translated it means something like a debt of gratitude. By virtue of the fact that your parents brought you into this world, these parents now believe that you owe them this debt of gratitude, and they let the children know this from a very young age. This really runs deep in the mindset of many Filipinas, and whilst they do see it as an important responsibility, I also believe many do like to help their family because of the love they have. So be sure to understand where your Filipina is coming from when she says she wants to give help to her family, and remember to be very understanding. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to give all your money to her family, but negotiate an amount that you can afford, or what some guys even do is allow her to send whatever amount she wishes out of the money that she earns. The next thing to understand is around her desire to have children. Many Filipino people will see a child as a blessing from God, even if it's not planned or their daughter may be only 15 or 16 years of age. One must know that many Filipinas want to have their own family, and some may like to have a larger family. Now again, this doesn't mean we have to have 4 or 5 kids with her, but we do need to be understanding of her culture, thoughts and wants around this, and be open to discussion where we can find common ground. I'll tell you that many Filipinas do have a thing about having a child with a white foreigner. They believe such a combination makes a beautiful child, and many are pushed by this idea. To you and me, this may seem a rather crazy reason to have a child, but not so to many Filipinas. It's just really all about the differences of cultures and beliefs, but we must be understanding and respectful of her in these areas. Following on from kids is naturally around a Filipina's belief on the use of contraception. Now, whilst things are a little more liberal in some of the larger cities, many Filipinas either have no real idea about contraception or how they work, and many who are devout Catholics may follow the church directive which says no artificial contraceptives should be used. For some, going against their religious beliefs can be very hard, and some just can't bring themselves to do such a thing. Again, this may be another conversation for you to have, and certainly gain a better understanding around this by researching more and chatting to your Filipina. As education around this subject is sadly lacking in many areas of the Philippines, and often parents themselves don't know anything to be able to teach their children, you may be the one to start gently to educate your Filipina around the benefits of family planning and so on. The next important thing for you to understand is around her religious beliefs. Now, I don't want to talk too much on this, but we do know over 80% of the Philippines are Catholic. Many Filipinas have been brought up to practice and respect their religion and their faith, and in many ways it forms a base of who they are and how they live their life. However, this doesn't always mean that a man who's a non-believer or of a different faith can't live happily ever after with a Filipina. Simply, this is an individual call by the Filipina if it's important for her man to share the same faith or if it doesn't matter. I've seen many couples where the Filipina is Catholic and the man is an atheist, and the couple live very happily together because they respect each other's views and beliefs on this, and they never try and change them in any way. And the final difference we really need to try and understand is around the life your Filipina has had from birth right up until the present day. No doubt we'll find that she's led a vastly different life to yours. Now, that doesn't always mean her life has been bad or unhappy, but just different. Anyone who's spent a good amount of time in the Philippines will no doubt understand the differences and hardships many endure on a daily, ongoing basis. And we must know that sometimes bad things can happen to very good people, especially in such a tough country where things are not always fair and just. So be interested to find out all you can about your Filipina and her life. Be supportive no matter what she may share with you, and this will help you to bridge the great cultural divide that can so often cause many problems in a relationship between a foreigner and a Filipina. For more valuable information and tips, be sure to check out my extensive playlist on screen now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.